It's Saturday evening, it's late on, not far off show closing time, and we're here at the NEC Classic Motor Show with Andy Saunders and the star of the show so far, or at all, his latest creation, Deja, as in Deja Vu?
As in, it started off as Deja Vu, and then I was looking one Sunday morning, I went on the net and I looked up vintage French female names, and Deja was a name from the 30s, and
Really?
I just thought, wow, it's a beautiful name, it's a
Yeah.
lovely word, and it just suited what I was trying to do. So, yeah, Deja.
Well, there you go. So, what was the concept behind this car? I mean,
Well,
like it was scrawled on a fag packet.
Oh, I never got scrawled anywhere.
Oh, right.
It was all up here.
Oh, God.
At Beauty Autojumble in 2018,
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to pick up these four wings, and
So-
they are Delahaye.
So, I mean, Delahaye wings, not exactly 10 a penny.
There was a set of four there, and a grill. Not that grill because that's pre-war,
Right.
but it had a post-war grill with it and a load of other bits and pieces. And they were from a 135M standard steel body Delahaye
Yeah.
that Delahaye would have built, not a
Oh,
coach built car.
understood. Yeah, yeah.
And I looked at them on the Saturday, and they were too much money.
Yeah.
Notice a little detail there, right? No one's seen that yet.
Oh, it's doing my back in. No, the light is going to ruin that for me.
Okay.
But you'll have to explain in a second.
Anyway, they were steel wings, and he wanted too much money for them, or I thought it was too much money.
Yeah.
So I left them, and on Saturday night on the internet, I looked up coachbuilt Delahayes, and there was two that are very, very famous, which I've seen before anyway, which was the Sauchik 175 and the Fagonian Feleshi 165. The
Yes.
Sauchik car is the bright blue one that became Diana Dawes's.
Yep, yep.
And I looked at these pictures and I just thought, although the wings were nothing like it whatsoever, they were a huge start. And I thought, where am I ever going to get a set of wings again? So I went back on the Sunday. I left it right until the end of the day, and I didn't have enough money with me to buy them anyway. So I thought, well, I'll leave them at the end of the day. If they're still there, I'll make him a bid. And if they're not there, I didn't need them anyway.
The universe didn't want you to have them.
Anyway, I went back to him, and we had a little deal, and I got them home. And then I started to look for cars to actually hang them from.
So you started with the wings.
I started with the wings.
Work backwards.
Sometimes it happens like that. So I started with the wings, and then I found, well, two choices really for a chassis car is either London Taxi or Riley RM. Well, London Taxi was diesel, so that was out of the equation, but a very good chassis, which like Paul Bacon's using.
Of course, yeah.
But I found a Riley RM, and the Riley RM is like, although it's not a Delahaye, it was a rather expensive-ish car in the time. It had a very nice, the 2.5 engine's got a very nice twin cam engine, which we've polished all that up. That's all original. It's completely standard mechanically, Riley RM.
What a chassis, running gear, the whole 9 yards.
The whole lot, yeah, everything.
Sorry, that looks like a very long wheelbase for a Riley RM.
The 2.5, the 2.5 is longer than the 1.5.
Understood. Right. Marvellous.
So there we go. That was it. I started to the way I started to make the body was the floor pan, which there was a removable front floor pan, but the back floor pan went in up over the axle and down to the boot floor.
Yeah.
I had that shot blasted. I repaired that. All of the underneath is 2-pack black.
Right.
That was done upside down. I put that on the car, and that gave me like the Riley wing mountings. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Then this piece here, that tonneau cover, the hood frame, and everything within inside of that tub is actually Ford Street KA.
Yes, I saw the pictures you put on your Facebook page.
I cut and trimmed that, and I laid that where the back seat used to be on the Riley.
Yeah.
And when I was happy with the position, I've lengthened it 1.5 inches here just to bring the door shut forward enough, because otherwise this panel was too short.
Right. Okay.
When that was in position, I tacked it, boxed it, strengthened it all up. This panel here is the Riley back door, skin down. and then that gave me then something to tack the back wings to.
Right.
And so it started. The back wing was tacked here. It's been lengthened there by 6 inches, and then I built this panel here. I've made the boot lid, and then
Made it? I mean, just a raw steel?
the boot lid is 4/4 of a Riley RM boot lid, and a piece of the KA one.
Wow.
And that's just elegant. I love the flow of the boot lid.
Yeah.
And then when I got the back valance in place and all that, then I decided that the wings as they fell were not long enough.
Right.
So they got lengthened again here. I made a flat piece of steel that brought that out, and then I brought that back and then lengthened them again here. So the back wings are, I think it's 11 inches over length from what they were.
And the lines look...
I'm chuffed. It was a lot of it kept getting moved and twisted and that because I knew what I wanted, and not always did it fall into place as I wanted straight away. So some of it's been done for it. Look, the front edge of this wing's been reshaped about 4 times, and it still wasn't quite what I was after. But when I actually got the flow right, I thought I was almost happy with it. What I was trying to achieve is it to come here.
Oh,
what it was doing,
so pick forward, like
yeah.
But
what it was doing again was making this panel too short.
Understand?
And I thought, that's a lovely curve. I'll just leave it as that.
No, I can't imagine it being any more beautiful than this.
No, I'm happy with that in the end.
So, and the spats are presumably made from scratch.
Yeah, they're aluminium.
Wow,
they're aluminium.
So, you say the doors, Riley?
I say that again.
The door.
The door frame and hinge panel is mini, which I reskinned and curved into that shape.
Mini, old mini or new mini?
85.
Oh, right, so
Series
classic
3,
mini. Yeah.
And they're obviously on back to front. Well, the reason I use doors from somewhere else is the hardest part of building any car is getting the hinges to work.
Yeah.
Like I've done it enough now, and you can spend weeks and weeks and weeks getting a hinge to work. Well, why do that? When you want hidden hinges, why do that when you can buy something where the manufacturer spent £1 million designing that hinge?
And it's worked for 40 years.
That's right, it works. Weld a bracket on, bolt it on.
Yeah.
And then I made the shape of the door from that.
Yeah, now you said that, I can see classic mini in that shape. But
and then I made the scuttle. These are actually 2 drawer handles, Art Deco drawer handles.
Fantastic. So, I mean, I've only just noticed that little sort of perspex separator in the middle there.
Yeah.
I
did that from the bonnet ornament is 49 Ford extra. But the piece of perspex is actually emphasised. It shouldn't be as tall as that, but I wanted it more like a Mohican.
Yeah.
So I had that recut in this lightly tinted lilac perspex.
Oh, it's tinted perspex. I thought it was just reflecting the colour of the car.
No, it is actually. If you look at the crystalline on that, you can see the purple in it. And then this piece here was done firstly to split the screen, and then secondly to tie in the masket to the back of the windscreen so it all flows.
Yeah.
That's why this piece has got the grooves cut in it, so they match the front masket.
Wow.
The grill shell, I was lucky enough during lockdown to find a pre-war Delahaye grill in France, which was a lot of money, and it turned up and it was absolutely rusted away. What I didn't realise, I would have thought, being an expensive French car, that the chrome would have been chrome brass over a steel shell. It turned out to be a very thin steel grill shell that was chromed and then painted up to the chrome, like an old BSA motorbike tank.
This is pre-war.
This is pre-war.
Also, no material shortages or anything. Just a cop hat.
So so we ended up making this piece here is the original Delahaye grill, and then from there down we had to make ourselves. So then it got so muddled up, we ended up Matt Edley, Ted from the Salvage Squad team, panel beater, he made the brass surround for me, and then we had chromed, and that responded to the face of the steel shell. The insert is original 37 Delahaye.
And just steel, presumably.
That's
Painted
steel.
Yeah, yeah.
We had to repair about 10 of them where they'd rusted away at the bottom.
Right.
And then the headlights of Marshall, they came from the same chap. And that's 8-inch flat lens Marshall,
I was going to say flatland period.
period lights. They come with no fixings or anything, so we've had to make all of this.
Oh, that's made.
We've made that, yeah,
Okay.
along with the trims. And then the little quarter bumpers.
Yeah.
I've got a stunning pair of little round French side lights, which I was going to use, but it looked a little bit too much like the Fagonian Flashy 165.
Right.
And I've had those overriders for about 30 years, and I've never found a use for them because they don't fit any panel. And I put them on there. It's just like, that's stunning.
You finally found a use.
So stunning. So they went on.
Yeah.
Under the bonnet is all the Riley.
Oh no, we get to see this car with the bonnet up. So that's the original Riley
They
motor.
said he'd come back from the paint shop on Wednesday morning. He didn't even dust it off yet.
So that's the original Riley tank.
That's all the Riley engine, yeah. Very pretty engine. I haven't driven it yet because like we've only just finished it, but everyone says that the 2.5 was quite a fast engine at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
that is lovely. Brilliant.
That's about it on the outside.
Oh, talking of quarter bumpers, what are the rear bumpers off? I did notice them. And
that was a 60s Jag. I think it was Jag Mark 10.
Ah, yes. Now you said that. I can see that.
That is the piece that should come round the side.
Yep, reverse.
I cut the middle out, and then I slimmed them down by about 3 inches. I wasn't certain if to put rear bumpers on it or not, but what I've really put them on there for is to protect these wings, because like reversing it is going to be an absolute nightmare. So they're kind of more practical than they are anything else. But Souchick did some really wild bumpers with like gravel pans in between, and I looked at them and I thought, this is like, I've never seen anyone have a bumper that's away from the car so much, and I quite like that idea. So it stayed.
Oh, it's beautiful. Tail lights? They look familiar.
They're French. They came from Beauty Autojumble about 5 years ago, and they were new old stock in a box.
Right,
okay.
I
can't tell you what they're off because I don't know.
I see. So yeah, so all the chrome trim on this car, it's all got to have been done from scratch.
It's all handmade in brass, yeah.
Oh, brass? There's some
brass and chrome.
Yeah, I was going to say there's some weight in some of this. Surely, everything's a lot of work.
Mm. And this we've done. The Souchick car has got a tail fin of this sort of profile.
Yeah.
But the boot lid is quite heavy now, the way it's been made. And what we've done was we actually put that cutout in it so that you've got the boot pull as well.
Yeah. Brilliant. And yes, you'll have to tell us a bit about the screen frame I wanted to ask about.
The windscreen, the scuttle I've made.
Yeah.
The windscreen frame I've made. The top bow I've made. The windscreen is mini. I was going to split the screen completely. I got a new mini windscreen. The reason I've gone curved is if you look at the Souchick car, it's got a curved split screen.
Oh, so it's not V'd?
It's not V'd, it's curved. Okay. And I thought that was so unusual. Well, as it turned out, since I published it on Facebook, I've had people write in saying the 49 Chevy was split, the 49 Pontiac was split, the early Porsche 356 was split curved,
right?
Which I've never really taken any notice of. Anyway, it's a mini windscreen, unsplit, but then the trim makes it look split.
Yeah.
This was very difficult. The whole frame was made around a sacrificial windscreen covered in masking tape because there was nothing there. There was nothing at all. So it was like propped up with a broom and then a little bit here and then some masking tape holding it to the ceiling until the frame was in. The frame is box section with a skin over the top. And then Matt Edley made the covers to make it look like a chrome surround Duval. This is all chrome. Got a brass chrome.
Fantastic. And yes, the interior. This dash looks very familiar.
The seat is a 1940s Sunbeam Talbot curved bucket seat, original factory curved bucket seat, which has been cut in half and widened. I made that indent there purely and simply because I knew there was going to be a decanter in there.
Right.
But I wanted to use the sunbeam seat because it's the only hinged bench I've ever seen.
Okay.
So I kept all the hinges, but I've made basically the seat frame. The dashboard was the most incredible stroke of luck ever.
Yeah.
The dash panel is Sauchic. It's an original hand-built Sauchic dash.
Bloody
And
hell.
it appeared at Beauty Autojumble last year. It appeared at Beauty Autojumble last year in the Bonhams auction. And I went in their Autojumble auction. And I went into the Autojumble and I bought it. It was left-hand drive. It was from a car about 4 inches wider than this. And it was absolutely rusted to pieces. I cut it into 3 pieces. I've narrowed it. I've turned everything upside down because that glove box was hinged the other way up and it was over here.
Of course.
All of this was hinged the other way up. This was missing virtually. This was so rusty that there was the steel louvers. They were missing. I had that refabricated in stainless steel. These are from a Chevrolet. And what I've done, because there's no guts for it, and I'm not really worried about that anyway, and I've got enough room for switches, so I've got it on a little magnet, and it's actually the switch panel in behind it. So everything's hidden. And then the steering wheel was a figment of my imagination that I just had to fulfill. It's a Porsche 356 replica spoke wheel, one of those from Just Campers. And I took it to a place who made the plastic rim for me because I just wanted it to tie in with all the perspex. And the St. Christopher in the middle was original. I got this years and years and years ago to fit on Technus, and it just didn't fit. It's an original Lalique St. Christopher, which I've managed to very carefully modify so it fits in as a horn push.
Gear knob as well?
Window winder handles are 49 Ford. Gear knob is a candlestick holder.
Amazing.
And the door shut.
So, how lucky were you to drop onto the very coach builder's dash that
Just
you were...
I've only ever seen that dash in a picture. I think Diana Dawes' car had one very similar to that. Just bizarre. There was no history with it. It was so rusty. There was no history. I don't know where it had been. I don't know what car it came out of. But like the dashboard itself, I've pretty much made the dashboard. And I've altered all the trims enough to have made them. But what it came with is all the dials.
Oh, it came with the instruments?
It came with the dials, yeah.
I'm going to have to come around there to get a closer look.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second.
Hello, Ralph. All right? Hello, all right? I'm talking, mate. I'm doing an interview at the minute. I can't talk anymore. No, that's right. They're just. Well, it's not no point talking at the minute, is it? With her ruffling.
Not over this lass. Oh, she's done.
I've just got to sign a book. Hold on a minute.
Of course, yeah.
Hello, all right.
Two to sign. We've both got to sign.
Oh, okay.
Because these guys I've known this old
remember
for years.
Oh, you
years.
don't look as old. You don't look as old as that.
Remember you being at the Robert Customs Show? Yeah. That's a week or two ago.
Yeah.
We'll just have a quick poke around. But I need to know what these badges on the lower wing
Do you want
say.
Do you want your name on it?
Ah, I saw
No?
this. Okay. Oh yeah, and this is what it
Say that again,
started out as.
No, okay, that's all right.
You signed it and get Roger to sign
No, they're happy with it. I should imagine
That's for yours.
the wheels are very beautiful, although completely hidden. Oh wow. Right, now that the announcements telling us to all shove off home have gone, so overall, I know you've put a lot of hours into this in a very short space of time.
Overall, it's 6,500 hours,
Yes.
but 2,000 of those were this summer.
Whoa, okay.
As you know, I've written a book,
Yes.
which is about my life with cars and my life in general, really. And I've done it through Radar magazine many years ago, saying that because I didn't have any kids, if I didn't write it down, when I pop my clogs, there wouldn't be anyone to tell me story.
Yeah.
And I thought that's quite a relevant point, really. So I did it, and it's grown. It's grown. It grew and grew and grew, and then 3 years ago I bumped into Roger Attaway again. He said that he would edit it for me, and through a series of luck and fate and little incidents, we ended up with, we wrote to all the English publishers. No one wanted to, but they never come back to me. Like, if they'd wrote back and said we're not interested, that's fine, that's quite polite, but you didn't get that.
That's through a week.
Isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
if you don't want to, it does. Just be polite. Just say, well, that's not for me. I'm sorry.
And you can't be. They can't have not heard of you. But I don't know. Maybe that.
Anyway, through an absolute stroke of luck, we ended up being introduced via Carl Ludvigsen, the esteemed journalist that lives in Sussex. He saw one of the dummy chapters, and he contacted Dalton Watson Fine Books in Illinois, who are his publisher, and he sent them. We ended up sending the manuscript, and in April, the owners, Glyn and Jean, flew to England to meet me and Roger.
Yeah.
And it was April the 6th, and on that day, they promised that they would print the book, and I was so elated, especially with such a fine publisher. I was so elated that I took them up to show them this, which looks like an absolute heap of rubbish at the time. And I showed them, and I said, if you're going to publish the book, this will be ready for the end of April and for the end of August as a cover car. And Glyn looked at it and went, that's not possible. And I said,
Challenge accepted.
All I need, Glyn, is a deadline, and I'm on it. Anyway, the deadline was set, end of April. That did get extended. The photo shoot was actually on September the 13th in the end. I've done 23 weeks of 90 hours a week back to back. The only two shows I attended was the Super Nationals because the car went to the paint shop.
Yeah.
And the giant killer, Vulture's giant killer. And other than that, I worked 12 to 15 hours every day for 5 months. But at the time I was finding it a struggle. I was just like, what on earth am I doing this for? But now I'm here, now the book's in print, now it's on the cover, now it's at this show, and it's causing more looks than anything else here.
I think you're right.
It's just like, I sacrificed the summer.
Well, I was going to say, as they say in all good interviews, I believe you've got a book out.
Okay. Yeah. There we go.
So there you go, the Automotive Alchemist. Now, I was going to say you've been here with some advanced copies.
They printed 200 in a hurry to get them here for this launch, and they are selling really, really well. We've had so many people, so many lovely compliments, so many comments. It's been a tremendous experience, absolutely tremendous. And the book is very honest. It was never written for commercial purposes or publicity purposes. It was written because the idea spurred me on, and I wanted to write it. But to see it like this is just phenomenal for me.
I mean, that looks like a quality
it's
piece as well.
stonking, yeah. It feels like I'm open when it's just look at. We've had pictures donated from all over. We've got, just to show you. I can't find anything here, but I'm looking for it.
Of course.
General Motors Research Centre in Detroit let us have those two pictures. Harley Ewell's Beauty Sabre.
Yeah.
This chapter is about dream cars. The Fisher model competition, Buick Wide Job, Alex Trimilis's Chrysler Thunderbolt,
I'll leave mine on top then, yeah?
And then this is my version of how influential the Buick LeSabre was.
As it happens, I think that car's about 150 yards in that direction.
Is it really? Jet 1?
Yeah.
Well,
maybe a replica, but anyway.
I think they made it because I saw it at the British Science Museum years ago. Yeah. And then this here, Michael Lamb, who's a famous journalist from the States, he took these pictures in 1953. He went to Switzerland, and that was a 1953 brand new coach-built coach influenced by the LeSabre.
How do you find pictures like that? I mean, people spend years looking for this material like this, and then you get people throwing it at you.
That's I can't remember their names. That was two designers built that, called the Studebaker Mantaray. That was the Russian Zil version of the LeSabre. And then in France, back here, right, I love this. It's so interesting. That was the cover of the Automobile magazine in France in 1952, after the LeSabre toured Europe. 9 months later, this is the cover of that car. This was Henry Ascalon, a French coach builder, and he built that. We don't know how long, but it was 9 months later. It was on the cover of the Automobile. How influential is a car for someone to coach build another copy of it
In such a short space of time, from C to B.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it goes through periods of, we've got the jet age, the space age, the atomic age, and then you come into Alex Tremulus's work. That was one of his drawings of the Chrysler. That was when he worked at Tucker. There's Alex Tremulus. These pictures have never been, as far as I'm aware, have never been seen before. They were given to us by Steve Tremulus, who was his nephew. When he died, his whole archives were left to Steve.
Yeah.
And Steve has been so helpful in this chapter. To the point that this picture here, as far as I'm aware, has never been published. Steve gave it to us. In 1944, Alex Tremulus, while working for the American Air Corps, designed the two-piece vertical takeoff space rocket, which NASA adopted to take man to the moon in '69. That was 1942, and this was his original drawing, and that's his original drawing of a synopsis he done on how a flying disc would be more efficient than any other form of travel. And he was believed by many experts to be decades ahead in the motor industry on drag factor. He's known as the godfather of the UFO because of that. And then this, 1960, the Maximus, that is the car that Craig Breedlove basically cloned to take Spirit of America as a land speed record car. All those years later, he was so far ahead. The Gyron and the Seattlite, both Alex Tremulus's work. This one here, look, this is a personal photograph to my family, Alex.
Wow.
All from Steve. And then the reason for that is because obviously that's the X2000 model.
Yeah.
That was designed by Alex Tremulus. There's another version which I've only ever seen one picture of. It's the same front, but it's got these huge fins at the back. This is in the Ford styling studio, and there's William Clay Ford. There's all the Fords and all the real big wigs of Ford in 1957, 58 in that picture. And then it goes on through the pictures of that.
Oh, so all in all, it's not just an autobiography. It's
there's let me show you this, because this is so exciting that it's out of this world. The Aurora, right?
Yeah.
Like, as you know, I bought the wreck of that 32 years ago and I restored it.
32 years?
I know. Scary, isn't it? I've owned that more than half my life. I met through an absolute fluke. In 2007, I managed to get an article on the front cover of the New York Sunday Times automobile page of the Aurora, right? Now, from that, I had so many emails. I was just downloaded with emails. It was not long before my dad died, so I replied to all the emails and I put them in a folder, and to be honest with you, I never thought about them ever again. I lost my dad and it was all irrelevant. When I started to do research for this book, I went through them all and I contacted several people that emailed me, and this one person sent me 17 black and white pictures of the Aurora in its build stages. This is him. His name was Peter Molesky. He was 18. he worked full-time 4 years with 2 other blokes on this car, which has never been told in any other story.
Yeah.
They've always made it out to be a joke. He said of the labour that went into it, this is Father Giuliano, the designer, laying up fiberglass, which it was so in its infancy, they didn't really know what they were doing, so he was laying it up 1 coffee cup at a time. He mixed resin to do that whole car.
Oh, there must be acres on that car.
Yeah. And then there's this. This is the Madison Square Gardens. No journalist, anyone has ever mentioned the car going to Madison Square Gardens. This was the Madison Square Gardens Autorama 1957, and it was invited, and it wasn't finished, so they sprayed the clay buck white, and that's the clay buck. And that is Peter Molesky. There's the 3 people that worked on it. It's Ronnie Dalquist. I can't remember the guy's name. Matt D'Orizio and Peter Molesky. Peter Molesky's name in his late 80s, and that is the first time that picture's ever been seen by anyone.
Wow.
And they've all got his name on the back of those pictures. And then there's the interviews with him. And the interviews tell such a different story to anything that any journalist has ever written. They told how far ahead he was.
Yeah.
There's one part, he actually designed that car, although it never was fitted with it because it had headlights, he was actually designing a light bar for it. Now, we've only had light bars since like 2018. This was 1954 he started. And then, as if that's not good enough, right, this is so exciting, this is my build pictures of it. That there was sent to us from Jeffrey Hacker, who is the world's aficionado on fiberglass cars from the States. And it's the American Patent Office application for Father Giuliano to design and build the safest car in the world. And it's dated December the 23rd, 1953. We got that in there.
Wow.
It's just like, I've rewritten the story of Father Giuliano, and I hope to free him from all the noise and that was written about him by General Motors and that at the time. So, all in all, yeah, it diversifies in so many ways.
Yeah. It's like I say, not just an autobiography.
No,
Wow.
no.
And no, this book isn't out yet, is it?
No,
these
not
are
as such.
the very first one.
These are the very first ones. The guy in the States actually yesterday flew over to be here for the launch day, and he actually had to take some on with him because he's not
Yes.
sold them already from his website, and he hasn't got it in stock yet.
Boy. But so, do you know when they'll be officially published?
The rest are being done at the moment, so they will be available in the States from the 1st of December.
Right.
They're available here now if anyone did want one.
Nobody will see this until after the show goes out. Until after the show closes.
No, that's right. But, anyone that wanted one that is seen it from here, we would stand on the price of the show.
Oh,
which
right,
is 80 quid, which is
there you go.
considerably
Fine.
cheaper than on their website.
Understand.
When it's released publicly.
Fantastic. So there you go. Double bargain for anybody watching. Excellent stuff. Right. Well, I'm sure you've had a very long day today. You had a very long day yesterday.
I think tomorrow I might just take my knife up.
I was going to say, I know you're not staying too far away. I'm sure you.
I'll be asleep in about 3/4 of an hour.
Yeah. And well, thank you ever so much for
Thank
showing
you,
us
Gary.
around.
It's so nice to talk
It
to you.
is.
Thank
It
you.
is a showstopper, and I'm sure you're going to get told this. Well, I'm sure you've already been told it for 2 days, and you've got another day to go. So
It's really quite incredible in this hall because like a lot of the car stands are owners clubs and they have some beautiful cars here, but every time you walk off there's like a very sparse sprinkling of people, and then you come back here and you can't see the cars because there's like 3 or 4 deep all day long.
Brilliant. I mean, and I can't imagine even the most curmudgeonly Riley Owners Club chap would be able to say, "Oh, you're very that."
We've had the chap over Steve from the Riley Owners Club that supplied me all the bits. They got a fabulous. If anyone wants an old car with a good backup, it's got to be Riley.
Right,
That
okay.
club is unreal. They've got all these phone numbers, all these officials that know everything about electrics or engineering, all this stuff. They've rewritten the original workshop manual as to how to work on a car now. They are so helpful, and Steve came over today, who's a bloke from the spares place, and we had a really long chat, and he loved it. So,
Brilliant.
It's
That's
really
what we like
something
to
I
see.
think by that.
Excellent. So, are you ever worried that you'll run out of ideas? Because you
No, I'm worried I'm running out of time, to be honest with you. I'm 60 in January. I've got like 10. I've got 10 in my head at the minute. I've got 10.
so you booked it 40 years in advance.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That's optimism.
I had a
like
bloke
that.
yesterday. He come up and he looked at this. He said, "I've got a Talbot logo that I'm building panels for. Would you be interested in helping me?" And I went, "No, not really, mate. No, I can't. I want to do what I want to do."
Yeah. Oh boy. So in the meantime, yeah, like I say, you'll want to get to your get to the bar,
Get to bed.
and yeah, you got another day of the show tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I will say thank you ever so much. It's been an honour and a pleasure.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Andy.
See you next
Saunders.
time.
Cheers.